from Nature's Art Soap Company. So I started off doing this video trying to be all professional and getting this take just right and that take just right. And you know what? It wasn't me. Sorry, script went out the window. Or should I say down the garbage? I try to do these as nice as I can. I'm still learning as I'm going, so bear with me, guys. You're just gonna have to always face me. Today we're gonna do a soap cake. That's right. I've got a big order to make. I've got some custom cakes to do, and I figured a lot of you guys would like to see how I do it from start to finish. There's a lot of pastry soaps out there nowadays, cupcakes, cakes, all kinds of things, pies. And a lot of new soapers are really kind of intimidated by it. They think they can't do it. Well, I'm going to show you just how easy it really is. So come play with me. We're going to get soapy. Okay, let's get started. So I've already combined all my oils and melted them. They're all nice and cool. I've also cooled off my lye, and it's ready to go. I have my mold ready. This is a silicone cake mold. Now once you soap in a silicone mold, never ever use it again for food, okay? It's always going to maintain the fragrances and the caustic oils and whatnot in it. It's just nasty, so don't use it. I have a bowl here with a little bit of water in it so I can clean my stick blender off in between. I have my essential oils and fragrance oils here, and I have another container that has for my colorants, and I have my titanium dioxide. Okay. My lye. Now this recipe, I'm doing a Bastille. You can find it on the Nature's Garden website under soap classes. This is a favorite of my mother-in-law's, and these cakes are being made for her to give away for the Christmas holidays. So I'm only going to bring this to a light trace, so it gives me plenty of time to play with it. And now we're going to do our colors. I've got a couple of different purples here that I'm going to do. So let's take some out. Now you can color your whole batch, obviously, or you can do two tones and whatnot. But for this, because I'm doing more of a lavender and apple, I'm actually going to do just a nice, beautiful, pristine white with a shock of purple color swirled through it. So I don't need a whole lot. So I've got a royal purple and an Easter purple. Royal purple's more of that blue purple. Easter purple's more of that reddish purple. I think I'm going to go with the royal purple. Just do a couple of drops to start. And let me scoot this over. Now, a lot of people would add the fragrance oils now. I actually like to add them at the very end. This gives me time to play with my colors and do any testing I need to do, especially if you're dealing with a fragrance that likes to speed or accelerate on you. Definitely want a deeper purple. There we go. That's more like it. Now I'm going to make this cake go through gel phase. I'm actually going to pop it in the oven so it evaporates out more water faster and it deepens my colors. Now if you want to keep light and pastel, don't oven process. You're going to want to cool it down, toss it in the fridge, do whatever you can to keep the colors from gelling. But I like to gel. I like those bright colors. So even though it doesn't look very bright right now, once it goes through gel, it's going to get a lot brighter. Probably anywhere from 3-4 times brighter than that. So I think I'm pretty good where I'm at. Let's set those aside. And I'm going to go ahead and add a touch of fragrance to it. Not a lot. Most of it's going to go in that. Okay. And now that's going to go in my little bit of water, and I zip. There we go. And we're going to tray these back out again. Okay. And now I'm going to add my titanium dioxide. Generally, it's about 1 teaspoon per pound of oils. Make sure it's all mixed in nice. There we go. I'm going to do a little bit at a time here and see how I'm doing, because I don't want it to crack. Too much titanium dioxide in your soap will give a crackled effect. Now sometimes I actually like that. It makes it look like antique painting. But I don't think I'm going to go for that in this one. Okay, we've got a nice pretty color there, but it's still somewhat tan. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add my fragrance oils. Make sure they're fully incorporated. But remember, we don't want to stick blend too much because we don't want it to get really thick. make sure you've got those all in there and you don't see any floating oil. And we are good to go. Okay. Now, I've got my scale here and I've got my cake pan on my scale. So I'm going to turn it on and zero it out. There we go. And for the particular one I'm making, I'm just going to do about 3 pounds of soap in here, and I'm going to keep a pound out for the frosting. Okay? I have to bear in mind what I've got set aside for my purple. Now I go up high because I want it to go all the way through that cake. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to take one of my stir sticks, and I'm not going to swirl a lot. The less you swirl, the more distinct they are. The more you swirl, the more muddled the colors kind of become. So I'm just going to do like this. That's enough. Stop. I know it's tempting. You really want to play, but I'm not going to. Now notice I put a little bit extra right in that middle because I'm actually not going to frost that middle piece. So I want that to kind of have a little bit of pretty in it. So you can play just with the tops with that. And that's it. Set aside. I know you want to keep swirling, but don't. Now I'm going to move my scale and I'm going to tamp this out and get out any air bubbles. Careful not to do it so hard that you splash it everywhere. You should see them coming up to the surface, little bubbles, and they'll pop. Can you see those? Sometimes I go in and like to poke them. Poke, 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 poke. And then one more good tamp. Okay, so now we're going to set this aside and we're going to use the rest of this and we're going to work on the frosting. Okay, so I've already, before we started, set up my piping bags. I have a large tip. I've placed it in the bottom, I've twisted it, and I've added a twisty tie. That's just to make sure no soap leaks out if it's still too thin. So I've already got my white mixed up. So now I have a bowl here for my green and my pink. I'm going to add for my green. I don't need a lot of green, just a few leaves, really. So I'm not going to do too much in there. Mainly I'm going to use the white. So just a little bit for the flowers. Actually, I think I'm even going to steal some out of that because I really don't need that much for the green. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to try green apple for my leaves. I think that's going to be a nice bright green. And then I'm using flamingo for my pink because I really want it to pop. That's going to be a beautiful green. You see that? Nice. Love me some pink. And again, these look light, but I'm going to gel them so they're going to become a much brighter color. Okay. Here we go. So, let's check our consistency. I'm going to show you about how thick it is. So I haven't done anything different with this batter. It's the same stuff that we made our regular cake base with. I've just given it time to set up more. So sometimes you can wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Heck, depending on your recipe, you can wait up to 15 minutes or longer. So you just kind of want to keep an eye on it. You don't want it too thick because then you can't pipe it through the bags. But you don't want it running either because then every pretty design that you make will end up deflating and dropping and becoming just a puddle. So this is a nice consistency. See that? Thick pudding on my spoon. Sticks to my spoon, see? Okay. So I am going to start filling my bags. Now you're going to see why it's so nice to have that tie at the bottom. And I'm going to show you a really easy way to fill your bags. Grab a cup. Easy peasy. That way you don't have to hold the bag and try to fill it. Just put it down in there and start filling up. Saves a lot of mess and a lot of hassle. Trust me on that. Make sure you leave enough room at the top to close that off. Okay? See? So now I'm going to pull over my cake. So this has had a chance to set up some. See, it's not too bad. It's pretty firm. So it gives a good base for your frosting. If it's still liquidy, your frosting is just going to go right down inside. You could actually prepare this hours beforehand. Heck, even a day beforehand if you want. But I prefer doing it now so I make sure that that frosting really adheres to that bottom layer. Oops. So grab the top of your bag, give it a twist, take off your twist tie, untwist it, and smush down. See, that came right out. Okay. So I want, just let the piping tip do the work for you. See that? I'm no big cake decorator. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Trust me, when you slice this up, they're going to look gorgeous. Go. And in between. See, and here you thought it was going to be so hard. Not at all. I actually have enough left over. I think I'm going to do a second layer. frosting. Now, I always like to leave that little tiny bit in the middle. When I first started doing cakes, I always had this funky little tip when I cut it, because I'm looking at the whole cake and not thinking about the individual slices. So here you'd have this beautiful slice and this weird little tip at the end. I didn't like it. So it's just a personal preference for me. Put in the last of my frosting. Got quite a bit left. And it's getting everywhere. Okay. There we go. And twist and squeeze. Oops, air bubble. But see how much time I still have to work with this? So don't get nervous. Soap can be actually quite forgiving. Okay, I'm going to set that one off to the side. I'm going to end up scraping out this last little bit and putting it in a cupcake. Now, I want my leaves. Always put your leaves under your flowers if you can help it. Now this I'm not going to put directly over the cake. I want to kind of get it started in its form first. See, there's like a flat edge to a leaf. So I kind of want to practice one out. Look at that. Good consistency. Okay. So you might want to plan a little bit just for where you're going to put these. Because you're going to want something on every slice. So I always suggest do it in a V where it's touching no matter what. That way you know every slice is going to get something. Oops, I went a little backwards on that one. And what's great about these tips is you don't have to be an artist. They can do the work for you. Wish I had a little round, lazy Susan. If you've got one, use it. So I start off with the big ones. That way I know I've got enough soap to cover what I'm doing. And then I can go back in and fill in smaller ones. Okay. All right. I'm going to set this down. I can play with that after. Now I'm going to get my flowers one. Let's see. My suggestion is the first time you start piping soap, do it on cupcakes. Don't try to jump right in and do a cake right away. Get to learn your batter, your own recipe, see what it does. So practice on cupcakes first and then do the cake. See, you don't even have to know how to make a flower. The right frosting tip will make it for you. Simple, right? Now you can play. All right. Not too complicated, right? I know, you're ever so tempted. It's driving you nuts, that hole in that middle of that cake. Trust me, don't fill it. Step away from the cake. You're going to see what I mean when we cut it up. All right, guys. We'll come back when it's all ready to cut up. This bad boy's going in the oven. So we've pulled the cake out, and my husband Art is slicing. So basically you're going to start by cutting the cake in half and then in fourth and go down to the sizes that you like at that. It came out really pretty. Show them one, honey. See, that purple really popped out just like I said it would. Awesome, awesome. Pull these back out of the way. See, here's half of the cake. Okay. You cut so much better than I do, honey. Mm-hmm. I make such wonky freehand cuts. He's so much better at it. So let's see, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to get 16 slices of cake, and I got 3 cupcakes out of that 4-pound batch. Not bad at all. Sorry if the color's off a bit. It is a little after 7 o'clock at night and the sun's gone down, so we're stuck in my kitchen light. Those look beautiful. I want you to see the cupcakes, how they had finished up. Did the little wrappers. I'm going to have a little video tutorial on how to do the wrappers like this. So I've got some matching little cupcakes. And there is the finished product. Da da da. Do do do.